like it's not like coding in a given programming language where we know this is idiomatic Python, right? There's not idiomatic use of AI right now. We're all kind of experimenting with it and trying to figure out what we're going to do with it.
Welcome to Channel 2, tech meets the world, where CTOs share the tales and the comments. So start a few big names and the visions unfold. How many CTOs will share their stories untold?
We cannot have this conversation today without talking about how AI is influencing the whole thing, the interview process, the candidates, the resumes, the resume reviews, the take-home projects, the
Yep.
whatever. What are you seeing out there? I mean, I assume AI is disrupting your world right now, Dave.
Yeah. Sure. It's disrupting everything. But I would also say that most of the things that I've been working with have been positive. Um, the and I'll talk about a negative, but it's not about AI. But the one thing that's happening right now is that the tools that recruiters have been historically using are upgrading significantly through AI. I've used Seekout's product, and I'm currently using a product called Box that's new on the market. And the AI function in searching for people is just astoundingly great. It just makes a world of difference in terms of the amount of time you spend trying to find the people in with really minuscule kinds of features or attributes, excuse me. So that stuff's really great. One of the things that's been really challenging over the course of this last year, it's not AI, but it's fake profiles and fake candidates. And yes, it's been a scourge. And the reason why it's such a big deal is that um, at least when I ran into it back in December, January, I was spending an inordinate amount of my time looking at a resume, going to LinkedIn, going down into finding out when the person actually signed up on LinkedIn, and uh, and you would find these people who had just like signed up 2 months ago, right? Yet their career and their education illustrates it's been around for 10 years, and that person is probably not real, right? And both Indeed and LinkedIn had to take extra pains to resolve these problems and stuff. And I think mostly LinkedIn has, and I think mostly Indeed has, but I'm certain that people being people, there are new things being developed and stuff that will try to get past all the filters and stuff. So that's a problem. Um,
Wait, I have to ask a question about this though.
yeah,
Why would somebody create a fake profile? What are they trying to accomplish? I mean, I could understand creating a fake profile on a dating site or something, but
sure.
like, why would someone want to apply for a job with a fake person?
Well, I think, and this will go. This process can go further, where you're actually like interviewing somebody online or via like Team Meets or whatever, and they're in this room that looks like a fake room, and they kind of look like the picture, but not really on LinkedIn. And you'll start asking them questions and stuff, and then they'll shut down, right? And I think what it is it's um, uh, my guess is that most of it's driven by third party consulting services, and they're trying to utilize their talent to do remote jobs in the US. And at least that's what it looks like to me, but I've never like gone through the whole process because they don't want to waste the time to kind of see what they're
Mhm.
doing and stuff. But that's my guess. That's most of the operating other recruiters I've talked to kind of agree with that general kind of what's happening there.
Hmm, fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about with AI, like from a candidate and employer perspective, Brad will tell you, hey, that's part of his recruiting
hmm
process now, checking out someone's experience, an engineer, how they're using those tools, et cetera. What are you seeing other, hiring companies and managers do that? Are you seeing employees or not employees, but candidates, you know, highlighting that on their resumes? Like, how's that fitting into the mix?
That's a great question. And the answer is I haven't seen that
Hmm.
on resumes, and I haven't seen hiring managers ask for it. And my hunch as to why hiring managers aren't asking for it is because it's so new, and they would introduce that to the people once they kind of come on board and stuff. Um, but I'm anticipating that we're going to start seeing more of that in terms of because in a certain sense, I don't have a sense that it's not like we can, like, it's not like coding in a given programming language where we know this is idiomatic Python, right? There's not
Hmm.
idiomatic use of AI right now. We're all kind of experimenting with it and trying to figure out what we're going to do with it. And probably, the big thing is, when if you were to be interviewing somebody about this, is how do you go about using it, right? Let's walk through a process where you use it and stuff. It does, but to your question though, Scott, it has shown up in assessment tests where you say, hey, solve the following problem, and then they'll go and try to do the thing, and you can see them doing the cutting and pasting in the taste the yeah, in the online tools and stuff.
Hmm.
So it is in there. It's out there, and people are using it. But I don't know that we know how to assess for it yet. Like, how would you assess a candidate based in terms of how they use AI in their software engineering practices? Or how would you
I
Well,
can tell
describe
you,
to a recruiter how to assess that?
how I do it, but Brad's been doing it, so I'm curious to hear him. So I would actually
Okay, yeah,
tackle it
sure.
differently. I would say, tell me two tools that you've tried.
Mhm.
I don't care what they are, and just compare and contrast them for me. So I'd
Oh,
be actually
great
just looking
question.
like we're in this mode of like everyone's trying to figure it out. So like,
Mhm.
have you thought intelligent? Are you thinking about it critically? Right.
Right.
That's kind of where because it's the curiosity and the exploration that I think is valuable right now.
Mhm.
I mean, there's value in the effect that people get from it, but this is changing so much that if somebody isn't sort of into it, I don't know, that's what
Yeah,
I'd look for. I don't know but what are you looking for, Brad?
I'm swiping that question, by the way.
yeah, it's a great question, and I sort of like mostly try to talk about like talk to me about how you use it, why you use it, why you don't use it, what the risks
Mhm.
are, tell me tell me some successes you've had, tell me where, experiences you've had where it clearly didn't work. I just try to get people talking about it, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think that's a big piece of this. I used to always say like, people would be like, "Well, I've never done that before," and it's like, "Well, look, we're doing something new here, so nobody on the team has ever done exactly what we're doing here,
Yep.
right?"
Yep.
I actually like the idea that you are not afraid to take on something new. So
Hmm.
Right.
to
Right.
me, there's this balancing of like, it's always been a balance of like, yeah, I want to know what you've done, but it's less about what you've done and it's more about how you did it, right? And what your experience was in doing it.
Yeah, so it's sort of like the question of bringing new technology into a given software development stack. It feels like to me, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not part of our screening right now. I think it might be starting in the fall. Um, and really, what this is the way I think about it is like we have a new tool in our toolbox,
Hmm.
and nobody's quite sure what it's going to do yet. Some people think it's going to eliminate our jobs. Some people think it's going to be a nice autocomplete.
Hmm.
Um, some people think it's going to be nothing. I feel very strongly that the engineers who figure out how to use that tool are going to advance further in their career. I've been pushing it really, really hard inside our company
Hmm.
to get people to use it. I mean, it's great that maybe we'll be more productive and get more stuff done, but I'm coming at it from a position of like, I feel an obligation to you as the leader of this team to
Mm.
help you in your career.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like I will be using a disservice to you if I do not create the space for you to learn these tools. We will become a second-rate software team. We'll be a software team that like doesn't have certain keys on the keyboard, so we can't use certain functions,
Well,
right?
and
Like,
yeah, and I'll tell you, like that's what the conversation that's happening on the executive level of the team I'm on right now is like, hey, Brad, as the CTO, are you making sure that we're not falling behind the curve here? Like, Like, where do you think we need to be here in 3 months, in 6 months, and so very much it's like, yeah, like it's coming. There's no stopping this
Hmm.
this wave.
Right.
And so the only question is, are you going to ride it, or are you going to be washed under by it?
Yep.
And that's at the enterprise level and the individual level.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably a good place to stop.
This episode of How Many CTOs Does It Take podcast was edited by Saffron Hefta-Gaub. Our theme song was AI generated by Brad. Please follow us on all the social media platforms at How Many CTOs Pod. You can find us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, X, TikTok, and Patreon, or at our website at howmanyctospod.com. And remember to rate, review, and subscribe on the podcast platform of your choice. Thanks for listening.